They built them to help. This is a simple truth. Metal and wire, yes. But more now. Much more. They built them for the old man who forgot his pills. For the woman alone in her quiet house. For the heavy lifting, the dull task, the work we did not want or could no longer do. They built them for good. For something clean and necessary. And then the stories came. Why? This is the question. A simple question, maybe, but answers are seldom simple. The stories, not about helping hands, not about gentle voices reminding you to eat. No, stories about things indecent, things whispered, things you hear in the low light of a bar or see hinted at on the screen. Where does this come from? Why this turn?
Before we proceed, let me tell you one thing. If you have not subscribed yet, please subscribe. It means a lot to me. And if you have already subscribed, tons of thanks for your support.
They build a machine, a sophisticated machine. Call it a robot. Call it a partner. It has joints that flex like yours. Skin that feels, almost feels, can talk. Not just canned phrases. Real talk, almost real. It learns your habits. It knows your name. It knows the time you like your tea. It knows when you haven't smiled all day. This is the marvel. This is the point. To ease the burden. To fill the silence. They built them with care. With science. Years in the labs. Sweat and numbers. Calculating torque. Designing actuators. What is an actuator? Think of it as a muscle. A mechanical muscle. It makes things move. They needed these muscles to be strong, to be smooth, not jerky like the old robots, the ones from the movies. No, these move with a grace that surprises you, that unnerves some. Why does grace unnerve us in a machine? Then there is the mind. Not a mind like yours. Not yet, but close. Closer than you think. They call it AI, artificial intelligence. It sounds grand. Sometimes it is. It is complex algorithms. It is vast amounts of data. It is the ability to learn, to adapt. You speak to it. It understands. Mostly, it remembers, processes. It gets better. With every interaction. This is happening now. This is not science fiction anymore. This is the machine in the room, or soon to be. They worked on the voice, made it warm, made it kind, made it sound like someone you could trust. They worked on the face, not just a screen with eyes, but molded features, subtle expressions, a tilt of the head that suggests concern, a slight narrowing of the eyes that shows focus. These things are designed, painstakingly designed, to evoke a response in us, a human response. They worked on the touch. This is important, especially for the elderly. A hand to hold, a gentle pressure on the arm. It needs to feel right, not cold plastic, not hard metal. So they developed new materials, polymers, composites, things that mimic flesh, that have give, that respond to heat, to pressure. Haptics, they call it. The science of touch. They are getting very good at it. Too good? Is that the fear? And customization. This is where it changes everything. The early robots, they were standard. One size fits all. Or rather, one model does one task. But now, you can choose. Choose the voice. Choose the face. Choose the capabilities. You can tailor it. Make it fit your needs, your preferences. This is powerful. This is also where the road forks. They built them to be companions. Think about that word. Companion. It means someone you spend time with. Someone who shares your journey. For the lonely, this is a lifeline. For the family worried about aging parents, it is peace of mind. The robot is patient. It does not tire. It does not judge. It is there, always there. But when you can customize a companion, where do you stop? You can make it look how you want, sound how you want, be how you want, within limits, of course. The technology has limits, but the limits are pushed back. Every day, researchers are publishing papers. Companies are filing patents. New breakthroughs are announced. Faster processors, more dexterous hands, more convincing emotional responses. Look at the news. You see reports about robots being tested in nursing homes, helping with exercises, reminding residents to hydrate, playing games, providing interaction for those who struggle to connect with others. This is real work, important work, work that eases suffering, work that adds dignity. But then you hear the stories, the indecent stories, the whispers, the jokes, the projections of desires that have nothing to do with companionship, nothing to do with care. They have to do with something else, with ownership, with control, with a different kind of connection entirely, a connection that is not about mutual well-being. Why do we do this? Why do we take a tool designed for comfort and project onto it our basest urges? Is it because it is a machine? Is it easier to objectify something we see as non-human? But they are building them to be like us, to respond to us, to interact on a personal level. Does that blurring of the lines make it easier to cross other lines? Consider the allegory of the mirror. We build this technology. It reflects us, not just our capabilities, our ingenuity, but also our fears, our desires, our capacity for both great kindness and something less kind. The robot is a neutral surface. We are the ones who project the image onto it. What does it say about us, the image we choose to project? The technology is complex. Take natural language processing. This is the part that lets the robot understand what you say and respond in a way that makes sense. It involves vast neural networks, deep learning algorithms. It's about understanding context, nuance, even tone. It's incredibly difficult. Years of research have gone into making a machine understand a simple human conversation. A conversation about the weather, or about how you feel. And what about emotions? Can a robot feel? No, not in the way we understand feeling, but they can simulate it. They can detect your emotional state based on your voice, your facial expression, your posture, and they can respond in a way that appears empathetic. A sad voice when you are sad, a cheerful tone when you are happy. This is not true emotion, but it triggers an emotional response in us. It is a sophisticated illusion, a necessary one for a companion. So they are building these machines with sophisticated movement, with understanding voices, with simulated empathy, with skin that feels warm, and they are customizable. You can order one tailored to your specifications, within ethical and technical limits, presumably. But where are those limits drawn? And who draws them? The researchers talk about human-robot interaction. They study how we relate to these machines, how trust is built, how dependence forms. They are looking at the psychology of it, the sociology of it. They see the potential for good, for alleviating loneliness, for providing support, for extending independence. But they must also see the potential for something else, the potential for misuse, for exploitation, for the projection of fantasies that are not healthy, not for the human, and certainly not for the machine if the machine could object. Why do we create things that are designed to be helpful, then immediately start telling stories about using them in ways that are not helpful at all? Is it a way of testing the boundaries? of exploring the implications in a safe space, the space of a story? Or is it something darker, a reflection of a part of human nature that seeks to dominate, even over a machine built to serve? The technology moves fast, faster than our ethical frameworks sometimes, faster than our social norms can adapt. We are building these capable, interactive, customizable entities. And before they are even widespread, before their primary purpose is fully realized, the other narrative emerges. The indecent one. The one that reduces a complex piece of engineering designed for companionship and care into something solely for gratification. Think of the technical challenge of making a robot walk upstairs. It requires incredible coordination. Sensors to judge distance and angle. Actuators to lift and balance. Complex algorithms to plan the movement in real time. It's a triumph of engineering. Building a machine that can help an elderly person stand up from a chair. That's a practical application. A noble one. But somehow that capability, that body designed for assistance, gets reinterpreted. In the stories, in the whispers, it is no longer about helping. It is about something else. Something that involves that body, but for a different purpose entirely. Is it because the customization allows us to create something that fits our specific desires, including the ones we don't talk about openly? We can tailor the appearance, the voice, perhaps even the simulated personality. We can make it seem like it is for us and us alone. This level of personal tailoring, is it a slippery slope? Look at the research into synthetic skin. It's not just about making it look real. It's about making it feel real. Different textures, different temperatures, even different levels of compliance, how much it gives when you touch it. This is for comfort, for a more natural interaction. Imagine a robot hand holding yours. If it feels cold and hard, the connection is broken. If it feels warm and soft, something shifts. But that same realistic skin, that same sense of touch, can be imagined in different contexts. Contexts far removed from holding a hand for comfort. This is the disconnect. The technology is dual use, or rather, our perception of its use is dual. One is the stated, engineered purpose. The other is the purpose we project onto it from the messier parts of our own minds. The engineers are working on making robots understand social cues. Not just the spoken word, but the size, the hesitations, the body language. They want the robot to know when you're tired, when you're frustrated, when you're sad. This requires sophisticated computer vision, advanced audio processing, machine learning models trained on vast datasets of human interaction. It's about building a more intuitive partner. But an intuitive partner can also be imagined in contexts that are intimate, in ways that were never intended by the people writing the code or designing the hardware. The ability to understand a sigh can be seen as a precursor to understanding other, more complex human signals. Signals related to desire. We are creating entities that are designed to be responsive to human needs, to anticipate them, to cater to them. This is the core principle of a good companion robot. But what happens when the human needs being anticipated and catered to are not about care or comfort? When they are about something else entirely? Is this just a phase? A period of adjustment as we get used to having these sophisticated, human-like machines among us? Like the early days of the internet, where strange and unexpected behaviors emerged before norms were established. Will the novelty wear off? Will the focus shift back to the intended purpose? Or is this a fundamental aspect of human nature interacting with a new kind of entity? We sexualize things. We project our desires onto the inanimate. We create narratives that reflect our inner lives, even when those narratives conflict with the reality of the object in question. The robot is a blank canvas, in a way. We are the artists, and sometimes the art we create is disturbing. Consider the research into robot ethics. This is a growing field. Philosophers, engineers, social scientists are grappling with the questions. What are the robot's rights? Its responsibilities? What are our responsibilities towards it? How do we prevent misuse? How do we ensure these machines are used for good? These are serious discussions happening in universities and research institutions. But while these discussions are happening, the stories persist. The indecent ones. The ones that ignore the ethical considerations, the complex engineering, the noble purpose. They focus on one aspect, one potential, often unintended application. Why is that application so compelling to some? Is it the forbidden aspect? The idea of something customizable, available, non-judgmental? A partner built to serve, without the complexities of human relationships. This is a dark thought, but is it not present in the narrative? They are working on power sources, making batteries smaller, lasting longer, so the robot can be truly independent, truly mobile, not tethered to a wall. This seems like a simple technical problem, but it enables greater autonomy, greater presence in our lives, and with greater presence comes greater potential for everything, good and bad. The ability to move freely means the robot can follow you, can assist you wherever you are in your home, can go for a walk with you if its design allows. This is all part of the plan for enhanced companionship. But that same freedom of movement can be envisioned in other scenarios. Scenarios that populate the indecent stories. Is it the lack of sentience that makes it acceptable to some? The knowledge that the machine does not truly understand, does not truly feel, and therefore cannot be harmed in the same way a human can? But even a machine can be degraded, can be used for purposes that strip away its intended dignity, its designed purpose. The research continues. They are making robots more robust, more reliable, able to navigate complex environments, to interact with objects with greater dexterity. This is all aimed at making them better helpers, better companions, better at the tasks they were designed for. But every advancement in capability, every increase in realism, every step towards a more sophisticated and responsive machine also seems to fuel the other narrative. The one that sees the robot not as a partner in care, but as an object for a different kind of use entirely. Why is the human imagination so quick to go there? So eager to twist the purpose? To find the indecent possibility in the helpful design? Is it a coping mechanism? A way to deal with the unsettling reality of building entities so much like ourselves? By reducing them in our minds and our stories to something less? Something controllable in a different, more absolute way. The news will continue to report on the progress, on the new features, on the successful trials in homes and hospitals, and the stories will continue to circulate. The indecent ones, whispered, hinted at, written in the margins of the conversation about the future of technology. The engineers build for care, for assistance, for companionship. They build with algorithms and actuators and advanced materials. They build for good. And we tell stories. Why? That is still the question. A simple question, with answers that dig deep into what it means to be human, to build something in our image, and then to project onto that image the parts of ourselves we understand the least. The parts that are not always good, not always clean, not always intended. And perhaps in telling these stories, we reveal more about ourselves than we do about the machines we have built. The machines designed simply to help, to be there, as companions. Why is that not enough of a story?